Hello, Lisa here. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if this is your first time stopping by. Today we are going to be doing a recent deck roundup. Now I call this a recent deck roundup, but you should know up front that I have an obscene amount of books to show today. In addition to decks, I do have some decks. I do have some books. My physical literal stack of books may be higher than my stack of decks. So prepare yourselves. But if you are interested in the book portion, that will be the second portion of today's video. I'm going to lead with decks because I feel like that is what most of you are going to be here for, and the bookish folk can feel free to stay for the second part of the video. But with that said, I'm going to jump in no particular order. These are things that came in over the last month, whether they were sent to me, Kickstarters that came in, decks I purchased. I think it's just decks I purchased. I don't think there's any Kickstarters or review decks or anything like that to show this month, but let's jump into it. So the first thing I did mention during my June deck reviews is the Whimsical Tarot, and I'm so excited about this. This is an out of print deck, and I apologize, but I have been on the hunt for this for a long time because I used to have a copy of this back in the day, and I let my copy go and I regretted it, and it is out of print. But a very, very kind and generous soul reached out, had a copy of it that wasn't working for them, and we ended up arranging a trade, and I am ecstatic. I love this deck. It is not just fairy tales. It is fairy tales and nursery rhymes, and a lot of the stories are stories super familiar to me from growing up. I don't know how to describe it, but there's a lot, like, I remember there was this like children's like nursery rhyme book that was in, like, there's the Ugly Duckling. It just melts my heart every single time. Pinocchio, the cow jumped to the moon, the dish ran away with the spoon. It's that nursery rhyme. But anyways, there was this little nursery rhyme book, and I read the stories over and over again. There is The Emperor's New Clothes, Winkin', Blinkin', and Nod, I believe is the name of these little sleepy nursery rhyme children. It's just the best. I'm so excited to have this back in my little collection. The borders are obnoxiously large, yes. It is actually, if you don't know, it's illustrated by Mary Hanson Roberts, who did the Hanson Roberts Tarot, of course. But it's just a special gem of a deck. Jack be nimble, Jack be quick, Jack jumped over the candlestick. There's something about that combination of like nursery rhymes and stories and fairy tales. This is the Pied Piper. And a lot of them are from books or Santa that I grew up with. There's Tar Baby, Jack and Jill, Beside Myself, Three Little Bears, Goldilocks and the Three Bears, rather, and the Princess and the Pea. But I feel like this just happens to be packed full of stories and rhymes and tales and allegories. There's Dorothy, that I am personally super familiar with, Jiminy Cricket, and so it just makes it different to work with than a lot of the other fairy tale decks. There's Hook. I think this definitely captures a time and place. A lot of these nursery rhymes and stories aren't going to be as familiar to modern readers as they will be for me. So if you are of a similar age, oh my gosh, there's just something. There's Toto and the Scarecrow, and then there's Fire. Oh my gosh. Anyway, I could just, the nostalgia is for real. I cannot, I'm so excited. Anyways, I will keep you all posted, but I'm so happy to have this back. I'm so happy to have it back, and I will definitely be spending a lot of quality time with it. But it's one of those things where at the time that I let it go, I was like, well, I don't need more than like a handful of decks. And then several of the decks that I ended up letting go during that time period, I miss and wanted back. And this was probably the one that was at the top of that list. So very, very, very grateful to the person who traded this to me, because I've been keeping my eyes out, and I'm so happy. Anyway, so that's the Whimsical Tarot. It came in, and I'm so thrilled. I forgot to tell you all, by the way, so I'm just going to pause. I guess I'll just say I'm sponsoring my own video. That's the thing kids do these days, right? So I will just say this. If you are new to my channel, hi, I'm also a deck creator. This is relevant because I have something to share, but I'm a deck creator and an author, and I'll throw up a quick graphic so you can see what I've created that's out in the world and available like right now. My Unicorn's Journey Tarot, my wife and I collaborated on the Sassy Dragons Tarot, and of course I have my 2 books that are out in the world as well. So information on those on the graphic. But this month, in July, I am launching on Kickstarter the companion oracle deck to my tarot deck called Unicorn's Journey Oracle. So there'll be a graphic on the screen for that. Definitely make sure you keep an eye out for the Kickstarter launch. That should be happening very, very soon, within the next couple of weeks. So I'm planning loosely to try to launch July 19th. So mark your calendar, pencil it in, whatever. But probably have the live launch party on Saturday, July 19th, 10 a.m. That's my current plan. But keep an eye on the space, because I cannot guarantee that. I'm still waiting for some things to fall into place. So let's cross all the fingers. But I do have something to show. This is just like a temporary home for this. And this is like first of a couple of just quick little test prints I did of the cards. So I have some cards to show you. Okay, so I have changed a couple of things already. So this is very early stages. We'll call this, what would you call this? Like, it's not like a beta, like an alpha. I don't know. There's an alpha, there's a beta, then there's actual prototypes that are going to be coming to me. But did I take the, yeah, I did. Okay. So this is the, if we don't meet any stretch goals kind of thing, like this is what the backs would look like, because ideally we're going to meet a stretch goal and be able to turn this sun on the back into gold sparkly foil. And I'm so excited for that. But this is the backs without the foiling. Still really, really beautiful. So either way, whether we meet that stretch goal or not, that is what the backs look like. The colors will be richer. This is a lighter test print, so it's not quite as fully saturated as it will be. But let me give you a quick little glance at some of the cards. These little banners are like moving up a bit. And what else did I change? The banners are moving up a little bit. A few of the keywords have changed, mostly just like little things. Like, for example, there's disconnection. In Divine Connection, I changed limitless to limitlessness. It just fit better with the wording here. Bunch of little tweaks. So I ended up kind of completely redesigning the cards. And some of the cropping and like where you see the art will shift just ever so slightly. But this is pretty close to what it looks like. And I now have a working copy to use in member readings. So I get to test this deck finally, and I get to use it for myself. And I'm so excited. This isn't the final quality. It's a little bit lighter of a cardstock than I will be going with. Oh my gosh, I have a cardstock story to share. I know you probably want to see these cards, but we'll do a full flip through just so you can see them. But I'll do a fancier flip through when I get like my good prototype with all the bells and whistles and stuff. But in the meantime, we'll just take a quick little flip through of these. I handed this test print to Peggy. And again, this is not a test print from my printer. So it doesn't feel, it's not the same weight of cardstock. Like this is on 310 linen cardstock. My copy, my final version will be on 330 GSM black core. And so anyways, it's one of those things that like cardstock nerds like me, you know if you know, right, will understand the difference. But I handed this copy of this deck to Peggy to take a look at. And the second she had it in her hand, she's like, so is this just like lighter cardstock? And I didn't tell her anything about that. She just said, oh, is this lighter cardstock because it's just a quick test print? And I said, yes. And oh my gosh, y'all, this might be TMI, but I was so turned on. I was like, my wife knows the difference in her hands between 310 GSM black core cardstock and 330 GSM black core cardstock. And I just gazed at her in awe and wonder. And I was like, I love you so much. Just the fact that she knew right off the bat, because a lot of people can't really even tell the difference. Like you have to be kind of a nerd, you know what I mean? Like to know the difference, but she knows what I love. She knows the quality that I like. And the fact that she could feel the difference, it made me so proud, y'all. These cards I've brightened a little bit, but they will be pretty dark. It's just the nature of the card. But we have Empowerment, the dragon here, and Initiative. This is one of our fire unicorns. And it's kind of blending with the door. I did some color correction here. I think it's going to be a little bit brighter in the final version, but the focus for your eye in this card really is supposed to be this open doorway. So I didn't want to like highlight this too much, but I think I did brighten it some. So that's been a tweak I did for the final version. Here we have Inspiration, Liberation. I don't know if you can tell, I'm just kind of like telling stories while I'm flipping through the cards because I know I'm going to do a more involved walkthrough. But if you can't tell, I'll just give you a quick like anatomy of the deck. So there are 14 cards per suit. You don't need to care about the suits. I just like having structure. So there's 14 cards per suit. The first suit is Spirit, and we have Mystic and Friends in all of these cards, right? So Mystic's in every single one. Mystic's our main character from the UJT. Every card has a title as well, which you can use as a keyword as well, and then 3 sort of associated words to that title. So for example, for Awakening, we have Enlightenment, Elevation, Realization. This is the image that's going to be on the cover of the box. And there's also a very calculated and intentional mix of light themes, positive/light or affirming themes, neutral themes, and shadowy themes. So we have Spirit Suit, and then the Fire Suit, which is what we're in right now, features the Fire Unicorns from UJT and like Friends, basically Fire Unicorns, and the Dragons that are from the Unicorn's Journey Tarot. So here's a shadowy card. We have Control, Possessiveness, Domination, and Oppression. And we also had Arrogance, we just passed. Aggression, Arrogance, Burnout, Control, Courage, Creativity, Determination, Empowerment, and Initiative. inspiration. I know I'm going through them fast, but trust me, I will be showing them so much that you're going to be okay, I promise. Plus, I am sending prototypes to some friends to also share with you. So here we have pretense, deceit, concealment, and misleading. So this is one of the ones that I changed. So instead of misleading, this is now duplicity. So deceit, concealment, and duplicity. And we have a fire unicorn trying to dress up like a dragon and go fool the dragons. Then we have the water suit. Now, one of the, I wouldn't say regret, the nature of the unicorn's journey tarot meant that when we got to the water suit in the tarot, it was mostly happening above land because the unicorns and the water nymphs that were interacting with our main character, obviously Mystic couldn't go underwater. So we were mostly seeing them in their land form and then hints of them in their water form. But so it's not always immediately apparent, but the water unicorns in that deck, in fact, let me show you so you know what I mean. This is an old prototype of UJT, by the way. So it's not the final. I don't know why I'm showing a prototype because it's just handy, but let me show you some water cards so you can see. So like we can see the water unicorns in the water, and there's Mystic, but we don't get to really go underwater with the unicorns, with the water unicorns very much, or the nymphs. There's one or two. So here we get to see the Page of Water in their full water form. But see, we can see them transforming. This was a little bit of a hint. I don't know if you remember the movie Splash from like the 80s. I'm pretty sure it was the 80s or like very early 90s. But in that movie, the mermaid, if she got wet, she turned back into her water, like she got her tail again. Otherwise, she could walk on land. There was a little bit of like that sort of an idea in my brain with these guys. They could be like they were in their land form when they were on land. But when they were in water, they would transform. So this is the Knight of Water coming out and in the like mid transformation as he steps out onto the land. But as you can see, so there is actually also the Knight of Water in his full water form, or land form, I mean. So we got some hints like this one, the Queen of Water, where we can see her underwater and the nymphs popping out and so forth. You get the idea. But in the Oracle, what I wanted was for us to be able to actually go into the realm of the water and see the water unicorns in their undersea environment because, oh my gosh, that's what I wanted. So anyways, we have the water cards and we see them mostly underwater. So we'll see the sea unicorns and then we'll also see the nymphs. So we have acceptance, codependency, discernment. This card was updated actually. So the idea behind this card, just so you know the kind of background, is that this little octopus is sort of blending and sort of merging in with this coral and sort of camouflaging itself. And if you've never seen a video or an image, this is something that multiple octopus. What is the multiple for octopuses? Octopi, right? Oh my gosh, I'm ridiculous. Anyways, they can camouflage themselves. And so the point of this card is called discernment, right? And the idea is that we sometimes don't see things, and it's a card about that. So discernment, recognition, lucidity, eyes wide open are the themes. So anyways, this octopus is mostly camouflaged. And so a lot of its tentacles aren't visible. So we can only see 5 of its 8 tentacles. And it's funny, I got a comment in this supportive tarot group from an octopus lover who was like, oh my God, there's not eight tentacles. And it's funny because I hadn't really thought of it because of the fact that the octopus is meant to be camouflaged. But anyways, I reached out to Francesca. We did update this. So in the current version, and I think it might make it onto the fancier prototypes, but it will have 8 tentacles. You'll be able to see the little bits sticking out behind. But it was a fun change to make. I didn't mind making the change, and it will make it more obvious that the octopus does have 8 tentacles. And there's actually another octopus that shows up later in the suit that I've also changed or asked Francesca to update for me. So same reason. It's like, let's make sure that all the tentacles are like slightly visible, even if they're sort of tucked under. Anyway, I'm babbling. That was the discernment card. Empathy, gratitude, manipulation. So this is gaslighting, coercion, and toxicity. One of my favorite cards ever is this nurturing card. I love this. I love this so much. When I came up with this idea to have the little fishies making the shape of a star, because I wanted the stargazing kind of vibe, but under the sea. Anyways, love that. Passivity, reflection. Here's our other octopus. So like, you can tell there's like more tentacles out behind, but you can't see all. You can't, if you were to try to count them, you would not be able to count 8. So we fixed that one too. And then we have rejection. Oh, this water unicorn looks so sad. Breaks my heart every time. This is one of the most intense cards I feel like in the deck, but this is shame, self-reproach, inner critic, and wallowing. It's very visceral. And we have solitude, trust, vulnerability with our shark. And then we have our air cards. So we feature the sylphs and the air unicorns. So here we have authenticity, balance, clarity. So there's one of our little air unicorns, communication. And hopefully you can tell that the themes are also associated with each element, right? So we have confusion, curiosity, detachment. So we have more of those like mental things in the air suit, more emotional things in the water suit. Doubt. Love this evaluation card. It's one of my favorites. Pouring over his table. False beliefs, frustration, mindfulness, perspective. And then, oh my gosh, the Earth Unicorns. Okay, so the Earth suit, of course, features our Earth Unicorns. I changed the way this card was laid out so we have more of her body. So she's scooched more to the left. And you can see her little bum, because her little bum is so cute. But this is the Bloom card. We have boundaries, depletion. We have the gnomes that were also in the UJT are featured here as well. Fear. Same thing here. I wanted to get this unicorn's bum in, so I scooched it a little bit more this direction. Groundwork. Harvest. Practicality, resilience. You're going to see all these again, but I can't help showing them all. Rooted, self-reliance, self-sabotage, shaky ground. I loved coming up with this one, but they're building like a little block tower on the back of this unicorn that was asleep, and now it's beginning to shake because the unicorn, there's like little movement marks next to it even, because he's starting to wake up. And then we have sustenance and wisdom. So we have the gnomes and the Earth Unicorns. Anyways, I am so stoked to have this in my hands. I have another test print on my way with some of the little changes. Like I said, I moved these banners up a little bit, and I think there'll be a little bit more of the card visible along the bottom, because this is like an overlay banner. It's not meant to be like the whole bottom of the card. So I tweaked that a little bit, and like I said, tweaked a few of the keywords, nothing major, just like a few little ones. One of the ones that I changed, there's only one that I changed the actual title, and it was in the Spirit Suit. This one. So this card is Wounded, and I changed it to Woundedness. So Woundedness. Unresolved pain, hidden trauma, and triggers. And so you can see that the Unicorn Mystic looks totally fine, but if you look in the reflection, there is a little wound over the heart space. So very, very potent deck. Really excited about it. The guidebook will have, just like with the UJT, it will have a self-worth message for every single card. So very stoked. It's just in a little, this is like a quilted bag Peggy made, and I've used it for a bunch of different things, but that's housing it right now. But anyways, I will, like I said, I'll do like a fancy, like formal walkthrough video when I get my like my prettier prototype with all the bells and whistles, because I'm manifesting that we're going to hit all our stretch goals and be able to make the deck with like sparkly things and such on the back. But you know, stay tuned for that. Anyway, that came in, and I'm sorry I had to talk about it for like half an hour, but here we are. All right. I also, the rest of these are things that I just like purchased and stuff. This totally was flying underneath my radar. This is the Trinity Tarot by Ari Wisner. I stumbled on this deck actually because there's an Oracle deck that just came out by Ari that I think is super cool. And Danny and I talked about it in Hot Takes, but this is a tarot deck that Ari created before. And again, I didn't know this existed, but I ordered it because I thought it was really cute and smart. But again, this is called the Trinity Tarot. It's really a little inexpensive, guy. Is there actually a price on the box? I don't know that there is a price code on the box, but it is a little US Games one. The inside of the box says, as you seek guidance from the universe, never forget that divinity dwells in your hands too. Divinity expands outward and inhabits all of nature, making you a unique expression of itself. Like a hand or a branch of a tree, you're part of the Trinity. May you find grace, courage, and empowerment within. Much warmth, Ari. There was something very striking to me about this deck. It's a very simple illustrated deck, but it's really cute. It comes with this little fold out that has some keywords for each of the cards and like a little 3-card spread, super simple. I just think it's really great. It's a little square deck. My box came a little bit smushed, but the cards didn't seem smushed, so that was fine. And but like with all the things that I show here, other than obviously my own deck, if you want like a full breakdown and walkthrough, let me know. But this does obviously go quite simple in its illustration style and pippish, but there is some really interesting little twists to this. It doesn't maybe seem like it at first, but I felt like it just immediately made so much sense to me. It's one of those decks where it's like pips that make sense, you know, in some really innovative and fun little ways. But I was really charmed by this. I don't know how I feel about it being square, but I do love the simple illustrations. I love that it gets its point across with so little going on. There's something about that that just fascinates me because I am a more is more kind of person. And so I don't always know how creators can be so expertly, I guess, pack so much meaning into such sort of like stripped back illustrations, but this definitely does the trick. The majors are super smart. I like, look at this chariot. I just, oh, it's something special. So anyways, this caught my eye and I just was like, why not? So I scooped it up. Really adorable. And I didn't know Ari. I didn't know Ari's work. And so I started following Ari on Instagram. Just delightful from everything I've seen so far. So I will definitely be keeping an eye on what Ari does in the future. But just a charming little deck, the Trinity Tarot. I mean, like, it's like, I should have shown you the size of the cards because they're obviously, like, this is standard tarot because it's my UJT. So a little bit wider than standard and obviously quite a bit shorter. Like you can see, quite a bit shorter. But so cute, right? It's like, I wouldn't say it's like a mini, but it's like pocket. It's a very pocketable deck. So cute. I was so charmed by it. This is 1000% Krista's fault. So this is Krista of Krista Chronicles' fault, who literally sent me a private message telling me that she entirely meant to push this deck on me, but she had paired it with UJT and was totally smitten. And I was already smitten, if you couldn't tell, from Danny Mystics and my hot takes. This is so beautiful. So this is by Jessica Lahoud with art illustrated by Amanda Clark. Amanda Clark has another deck, and you all told me what it was called, and I've darned it if I haven't forgotten again already. But she has another deck out that's like, I think it's like Earth Angels or something like that. My dog is literally building a nest next to me of like blankets that I put there for that purpose, but it's just kind of funny. Anyway, first of all, can we talk about the sparkly foil on the box? I love that effect. Anyway, so it opens like this, which is just like the Kate Forsyth. Is this Rockpool? Yeah, this is just the same kind of box style as the Kate Forsyth Fairy Tale Oracle and the same kind of ribbon as well. But it says, unveil the magic of the woodland creatures and forest sprites. Oh my gosh. The art in this is just so beautiful. I have not read anything, looked at anything, but we're going to look at it together. It has hollow on the sides. I wish there were more cards. It seems so dreadfully thin and they are glossy, but they're sparkly. So, I mean, there's that. This art is breathtaking. And see, this is what Krista did. She literally sent me a picture showing this deck next to Unicorn's Journey. And I was like, dang it, why did you do that? Like, of course, I'm excited to put my own Oracle next to Unicorn's Journey, but like, can we have too many things that pair with my deck? No, absolutely not. So with those just kind of in the background here, I'll switch it to something else here so you can see some other, I don't know, some other colors or something buried within. These are so pretty. And this is also the fault. So I ended up like pressing the buy button the second I got that post, that little message from Krista with a picture of it next to my deck. But also this is the fault of the very kind soul who decided to personally reach out and show me that there is a unicorn in this card that is tied to the key themes around worthiness, which we'll get there. I'm not going to try to do a full flip through here, but this is what we're looking at. Oh my gosh. There it is. Worthiness. Like, and this scene, like this particular piece of art literally looks like something that could have been in the movie The Last Unicorn, and it melts my heart. So this says resting, self-discovery, and introspection. And if you can't tell that this ticks boxes based on what I like in an Oracle deck, then let me just remind you, because in my own Oracle deck, in case you didn't clock this yet, in my own Oracle deck, we have a title with 3 keywords. We have a title with 3 keywords. Sold. That's like my favorite way to do an Oracle deck, or to work with an Oracle deck, is when it has a really good title, preferably one that can also work as a keyword, and then also walk away. Like, come on, like this art is gorgeous. Rise. I forgot which card was supposed to be on top. Oh, there we go. Buried within. Okay, there. Keep them in order. So if y'all want to walk through, like, you know the drill. Comment down below. Upvote each other's comments so I know which walkthroughs to like prioritize. But yes, it looks beautiful next to UJT, of course, but also I love it for its own sake. I have not looked at the guidebook, but I like that it has a little affirmation in here. Let's look at the unicorn affirmation. Let's see what it says. The affirmation is, even when I am resting, I am a radiant beacon of light. I love that rest shows up as a theme in the worthiness card, because it can be very difficult when you struggle with self-worth stuff to give yourself permission to truly rest. So I love that that shows up here. You are regal, powerful, incredible, regardless of whether you are actively pursuing goals or simply taking a moment for rest and recharge. Yes. Yes. So good. So I'm messing up my whole cloth here. But yeah, very, very excited about that. I'm going to have so much fun playing with that deck. I just went ahead and got Al Santo Tarot. I was waiting for this to show up in Canada. It just wasn't showing up. I wasn't seeing it in Indigo Books. I wasn't seeing it on Amazon Canada. I was getting really frustrated. And so I just went to Amazon.com and I ordered it from there. So like, yes. Did I pay a little bit more than I would have paid if I waited for it to come to Canada? Yes. Do I care? No, because I'm really excited about it. But this was also covered in a hot takes, not in June. We covered this in hot takes, I believe. The thing that really grabbed me about this is that this is like a super esoteric deck. And yet, it is so bright and colorful and fun. When I took the plastic off of everything so I could prep to share it with you in this video, also look at the size of this book and how meaty, how wordy it is. Yes, we are about this. I mean, like, it's not huge. Like, these are shorter entries, right? But I'm excited to get into, look at this. We're going to get into symbols. I'm so excited. Anyways, when I was taking the plastic off of this, I felt like I was opening like a board game, like a game of like Uno cards was the first thing that jumped into mind. I think it's because of the way these are laid out. So we've got purple for the majors. We have green for pentacles, red for wands, blue for cups, and yellow for swords. So very classic elemental color theming here, which is going to be amazing when this is laid out on a table. They're edged in black. Hello. This feels like a decent cardstock. It doesn't have that kind of super cheap feeling to it. I don't know that it's like any special kind of cardstock, but it feels really good. And there are also, what do you call them? Is it Triumph cards? Is it Triumphy? What is the term for it? You know, oh my goodness, you all know what I'm thinking of. The virtues and the signs. Is it in this one? Yeah, here they are. So you have after your majors, which end at the world, you have, these are all your extra cards that you could obviously not use with the deck if you don't want to, I suppose. But you've got the signs. Oh, there's a sea monster. That's amazing. I love that. And then you have virtues. So you have charity, faith, hope, the dragon, the grail, prudence, falconer, the vision. Oh my God, I cannot wait to just learn more about these, for real. Anyways, very excited to get to know this deck. But what I like about it is that there's a lot of like esoteric symbology baked into the deck. And I love the playing card elements baked into the deck as well. But there's all these symbols, but the illustration style is like bright and fun and colorful. And I think that might be like, it's like an esoteric deck that I feel like is speaking to me in my own visual language. I like decks that have a lot of color, that have a lot of pop to them. And because it's such a bright, colorful, sort of poppy style, I feel like it's really easy to pick out symbols and to find them in the cards. And I think that's also really, really helpful if you want to hone in on that stuff. So I'm really excited to get into this. I would love to do a deeper dive. Let me know for sure if you're interested and we can do that. Okay, so I also picked up this deck, which I'm very excited to get into. This is the Psalm cards. Okay, so I didn't clock this at all, probably because I was like nowhere near anything like the Bible at the time that I would have first probably seen this. I don't know when this came out, but this is actually by Rabbi Robert dos Santos Texera, who is an LCSW, which is a licensed clinical social worker. So this is somebody with a social work degree, which is amazing. That's somebody with a mental health, I believe, typically mental health degree. My friend that just got that same degree. Oh, and also an MPIA, MA, and MSW, Masters of Social Work, I believe. Yeah, so it says Robert dos Santos Texera is an intuitive, a psychotherapist, and a rabbi. He guides people by asking the same question, what is the light within trying to tell you? Robert began working as an intuitive at Jackson Square in New Orleans, where over an 8-year period he read tarot cards for some 3,500 people. Inspired by the psychotherapeutic dimension of this work, he went on to become a social worker and a psychotherapist, specializing in the treatment of addiction. Displaced by Hurricane Katrina, Robert settled in New York City, where he studied with the New York Rebbe Joseph Geiberman, who ordained him as a rabbi. He is the founder and spiritual director of Uri Awaken Awaken. I don't know what that is, but regardless, I liked the way that this was set up. I thought it was really, really beautiful. So this is a Schiffer publication, and I have to own my stuff here and say I haven't always gotten along the best with Schiffer products, cardstock, etc. I'm gonna make sure I put these in the right order. Yeah, there we go. But what really enchanted me about this is that this is a deck of, look at this. Look at how many cards. There are 150, if I remember correctly. Yeah, there's 150 because there are 150 Psalms in the Bible. And so there is a verse from every single one of the Psalms. Now, a different verse. So like this one is, and okay, I've got so many things to say. I haven't worked with these yet, but I have a few thoughts. Number one, this isn't in your face with Bible verses. If that's not your jam, totally understand. There is some really interesting black and white artwork, number one, on the cards. And then, of course, some gold gilding. This is not that super stiff feeling cardstock I've gotten from Schiffer. It feels actually a little bit on the papery side. It has to be thin because there's just so many cards, so I'm not faulting at that at all. I think it actually might be shuffleable, which is really exciting. But anyways, you have the verse reference, so 4:9. So this would be Psalms 4:9 on every card, but you also have this just beautiful artwork. I'm not so much a monochromatic girly, but in my personal exploration and Bible study, I've read through the Psalms now. I've read all 150 of them as part of my own personal deep dive. And it's kind of funny. I was having a conversation with a friend because my friend was like, I love the Psalms. And I was like, but there's all those curses. Like, I don't understand. And I wanted to sort of challenge myself to go a little deeper because a lot of times people quote bits of Psalms, and some of the Psalms are really beautiful and some of them are really kind of dark. And it's interesting because I think the point of the Psalms in so many cases is to have space to both speak out anger and frustration and lament and sadness and fear and whatever and rage and all these different emotions, as well as like joy and praise and all these good things. But there's some dark themes in the Psalms for sure. And so I wanted to have an opportunity, I think, to give them some more room to breathe and to not maybe go right to like only seeing the negative. And what caught my eye about this is that this is somebody who is clearly coming at them with a sense of reverence, but also with an open-mindedness to the, I guess, psycho-spiritual benefit of working with cards. And the thing that caught my eye with this, and I'll show you how this is set up, but there is like a whole section in the beginning that literally talks about, the world of tarot. So this isn't like going into some like really dogmatic space that wouldn't work for me based on how I like to work with things and where I'm at with my sort of charting my spiritual path journey at the moment. But the way that it's set up is really very, very cool. So for each page, you have a statement of the verse. You have the artwork. So I should go to this one, 6510, since that's what I've got on the table. So let's just go to 6510. So you don't have to have any other resources. You can just work only with this book. But then, of course, if you wanted to, you could go like grab, if you have a Bible, you could like look up your version and how it's worded. You could look at different translations as well, et cetera, et cetera. So here's 6510. And so it gives you the verse. What's really cool is it gives you the verse actually in the original Hebrew up here. And Hebrew's read right to left, but it gives you the original Hebrew, which is super cool. Then it gives you the English translation, and then it gives you a message. And the messages are let's not burn it. It gives you the messages. The messages are written in a very accessible, again, non-dogmatic way. So for example, this one, the verse is, you take care of the earth and irrigate it. You enrich it greatly with the channel of God full of water. You provide grain for men, for so do you prepare it. And then that's the image. And it says, if you seek to build or repair something, ensure that your vision overlaps with the divine's, or else you'll be opening yourself up to frustration and burnout. If you want the work to unfold as effortlessly as possible, turn to the contractor or contractors who will help your highest self draw up and then carry out the necessary plans. Rest assured that the highest or purest of energies, known as, and it gives you the Hebrew word, mayim dutrin, will flow abundantly, enabling you to accomplish your goals. By the way, by the look of things, you've already found the right contractor. So one of the things I noticed is that from what I can tell, every single entry highlights one of the words in Hebrew and tells you a little bit about it. And what's really cool about that is that I tend to, when I'm in my own deep dive studies of biblical text of scripture, I am finding myself honing in on particular words and looking them up and doing mini word studies, and having that be baked into this system really excited me. I don't think it's every single card because I'm already noticing some where there's not, but a lot of them, most of these entries have a little Hebrew word in the description that you can like hone in on and study more if you want. But I also see this being useful as a divination tool. I see it being useful for people who just want to work with this beautiful artwork. And for 150 freaking cards, you could work with this intuitively, much in the same way that you work with a deck like Soul Cards, right? You could just ignore the numbers on it and just work with the art. So that's also an option for people. But I'm excited to just kind of dive in and see what this particular deck has to offer. But I think it's really beautiful and such a fun a fun and possibly enriching tool to work with, and I'm super excited. So I might also use this to sort of randomly select a particular psalm to study to see if I can glean some more understanding of the context around it, maybe wrap my head around it a little bit better. So I'm hoping this will help in that regard too. Plus the backs are like, it's kind of like a very classic, simple, it's almost kind of, I want to say Rorschach-y, but that's not quite right. Anyway, so those are the Psalms cards. I think they're very, very interesting. And I haven't really seen anybody else talking about them, but I mean, maybe people have, but I think this has been out for a bit. When did this come out? And I think it's just because it goes to that place that so many of us are going to be like, back. We don't want any of that dogmatic stuff, but it doesn't seem dogmatic to me. Copyright 2016. Has this really been out since 2016? No way. It must have come out after that, right? I hate these double trays, by the way. I'm going to really have to sort that out. Did I keep mine in order? Yes, I did. I do want to keep these in order because I may work through them in order. I haven't really decided yet. So what's half of 150? 75, right? I guess that's it. Okay. So those are the Psalms cards. So I will be playing with those at some point. I'm not in a hurry. This is a tool that I plan to work with, but not something that I'm like going to just like randomly pull and do readings with or something. But I'm very excited to check it out. Okay, that brings us to the book section of this video. So if you want to tune out, I totally get it. I have one nonfiction, one activity. No, two nonfiction, one activity, and everything else is fiction. So I'm going to start with the nonfiction stuff first, because they're related to my special interest. So if you weren't interested in the cards, you're probably gonna wanna skip past this next little bit too. So the first one is a book that I meant to mention last month's roundup, and I must have edited it out by mistake. And I had one or two people comment going, I guess I referenced that I had a nonfiction book to show and then I never showed it. But this is the book. So I did mention the title of it in the comments when people asked, but this is called Living the Questions, The Wisdom of Progressive Christianity. So this one caught my eye because right on the back are quotes from Walter Brueggemann, who is a theological scholar that I happen to personally know a little bit about and know that there is a lot of expansiveness in his theology. And John Shelby Spong is personally important to me because it was actually a talk by Bishop John Shelby Spong. I spoke about this at length in my Charting My Spiritual Path live stream, but it really was healing for me. And so when I saw endorsements from these two people on the back, I was like, whoa, slow down. What is this? And it turns out that this actually contains, so it's got these two people, David Felton and Jeff Proctor Murphy, who I don't know as well, but there's apparently contributions from, trying to think how this is set up. There's like contributions from other scholars whose names I also know and am familiar with. But there's like, okay, let's look at the table of contents together. There's like, okay, taking the Bible seriously, thinking theologically, stories of creation, restoring relationship, the prophetic Jesus, evil, suffering, and a God of love, the myth of redemptive violence, love that, debunking the rapture, kingdom without walls, social justice, incarnation, compassion. So the idea of this is that it's going to definitely get into some of the places that you don't see, I guess, more fundamentalist or like very far, very dogmatic. Like there's a chapter section here on original sin. Like I am all about like all of this, just because this is a lot of the deconstruction work that I'm doing centers on a lot of this stuff. So this was interesting to me. I have not read it yet. I don't know when I'm going to read it. It's on my TBR pile. This next book is like highly special interest. This is going to be a somewhat dense read, but it should be readable. I ended up going down this whole rabbit hole into atonement theory. This is like a real big, I need to just make some update. I think I need to make an update video about my Charting My Spiritual Path stuff so I can geek out about some of this stuff for the few of you that might actually be interested, because I'm sure this is very much special interest stuff. But I was always raised to believe that there were certain things that the cross was supposed to symbolize. If you're thinking about like salvation, and it's literally, there's different atonement theories. And the most popular one, I'll try to make this very short. If you want to skip ahead, just skip ahead. But the most popular one and the most common one, I guess is maybe a better way to put it, is penal substitution theory, which is basically like, oh, Jesus died because he needed to like atone for all of our sins for us or something like that. Like that's the kind of premise. And it never occurred to me that there was more than one way that this was looked at, and it's part of my deconstruction journey to sort of understand this, and if there is any other theories around it, because that doesn't jive with me. It doesn't work with the way that I view divinity. So anyways, in the process of all of that, I stumbled on a theologian, do I call him a theologian? A philosopher named René Girard, and he has this whole thing called mimetic desire, and scapegoat theory, and it's a big rabbit hole, and I've probably consumed hours and hours of content to understand it. But this is S. Mark Heim actually wrote a book based on the scapegoat theory and mimetic desire and the way that it applies to a theories of atonement. So this is quite a lot, but it's, again, a very specialized area of interest and part of my deconstruction journey to explore this, and I'm really excited about it. But it's some real next level nerdy stuff. So it's really super interesting because it's got some big implications anthropologically and like from a psychological human psychology standpoint, and then also from a spirituality standpoint. So it's really super interesting. Again, I don't know when I'm going to read both of these, but they are now adding to my TBR pile. That's it for my special interest, mostly. Everything else is fiction except for one activity, which I just had to share. This was an impulse buy, but I had to. I have been seeing all of this Coco Wyo's coloring books all over social media. I don't know what happened. It's like adult coloring's having a resurgence, but in this like style. Am I crazy? Are you all seeing it too? Anyways, if you don't know, I'm a bit of a coloring book nerd as well. And I haven't colored for a long time, but I was really into the Johanna Basford coloring books. And I've done a lot of really highly detailed coloring. I have really nice colored pencils. I really like coloring, but nowadays I don't have time to like sit down and do these like really involved pages. But this was exciting because look at the pages. They're so like open and super simple. And I think these are one-sided and thicker paper, and I think people have been using markers mostly with these, but I just thought this would be really fun. I do have some colored pencils. I mostly color in colored pencil, but I do have some called ink tints that activate with water and become like an ink, and that might be fun to play with those in this book. I haven't decided yet, but it's like a little cozy, nothing super stressful, like nothing too detailed to color, but I like having spaces where I can use 2 or 3 colors in like a single leaf and kind of blend it together. And you can do that when the spaces are big enough. So I'm kind of excited to just play around with these little cozy environments. Isn't that so adorable? So yeah, anyways, that's my activity purchase. I don't know. I don't know how much of this I will color, but I wanted to have something that was just really super simple that I could just pull out and play in. So, and I was influenced. What can I say? Okay, fiction is kind of massive. The pile's ridiculous. But listen, Book Outlet had a sale, and I have problems with Book Outlet. Like I have problems. When Book Outlet books, hardbound books, especially ones with like sprayed edges and things, are like cheaper than Kindle books, it gets me really excited. So yeah, I did get a few. But these first two this first one was not a Book Outlet purchase. This was a pre-order. This is the Robin on the Oak Throne, which is the sequel to a book that I finished in June called The Wren in the Holly Library, which I spoke about. So this is book 2 in this series, and I'm really, really excited to read book 2. And I had to pre-order it because then I have both copies with sprayed edges, which just makes me happy because I will definitely be keeping these. They will be rereads for me. Oh, interesting. I just noticed the Wren in the Holly Library copy I have has like an illustrated cover, and I don't know. Oh no, this one does too. Oh, look how pretty. Oh, I hadn't looked yet. And look at the end papers. So that's that one. Oh, I got some wrinkles in mine. What the heck, man? Rude. I don't care. It's fine. But like that's the inside of the first one, and that's the inside of the second one. Are my back end papers better? They've still got some imperfections here, but I'll live. Pages are fine. So yeah, we're fine. Anyway, so I got this, The Robin on the Oak Throne. Again, it's a sequel to this book. If you want to hear me talk more about this book, check out my monthly deck reviews because I talked about this there. But very excited to have this. I pre-ordered this because I needed it. Once I read this one, I needed the sequel. I'm pretty sure this is just a 2-book series. Please let this be book 2 of 2 because I do not need to get sucked into a big, long series again. But these fall into the genre of romantasy, if that's your thing. Okay, these were impulse purchases from, oh no, wait, before I get there. And then also, okay, so then now, okay, wait, now we're getting into my Book Outlet haul. So this was the reason I went on Book Outlet because this is A Pirate's Life for Tea, which is the sequel to, I already put it away. Can't Spell Treason Without Tea, which is my book I'm currently reading and just about finished. And this is book 2 for that from the Tomes and Tea book series. And Sapphic Romance, the first one was, I'm assuming this follows the same characters. Yeah, it does. Oh, it looks like there's some new characters in there. Spoiling myself. But anyways, so this is book 2 in that series. So I'm definitely going to be reading that as well. So I've got a little cozy read sequel to read and a little romantasy sequel to read. Very excited about both of those. And then the rest of these were just basically impulse buys on Book Outlet. So first is a book, I think this is dark romance, question mark. It might be quite dark. I'm not expert. I just read the write-up and it had pretty purple edges and I was like, yes, I'll try that. This is called Throne of the Fallen. Yeah, a dark prince battling an impossible curse, a mysterious artist with secrets of her own. Let's see, a seductive romantasy. Okay, it says romantasy, but then it talks about angst and sexual tension. So, I mean, probably spicy, question mark? I'm not good at this. Read if you're interested, if this sounds interesting to you. This book is intoxicating in the best way. I was giggling, blushing, and kicking my feet while reading this book. I mean, okay. See, like that's my thing. I wanna giggle, blush, and kick my feet too. Secrets, spice, and a story I could not put down. So spice, there you go. There's spice in here. Throne of the Fallen. I think it's a standalone. I think it's part of a series, but the series is based, is this the one I'm thinking of? I think this one's based on like the 7 deadly sins or something, and this is based on one of the deadly sins. I don't know, y'all. It sounded interesting and it had pretty edges. What can I say? Back to cozy briefly is The Spell Shop. I got this also on Book Outlet for a steal. Pretty edges, hardbound. Is it decorative? No, it's just plain brown. This just sounded really intriguing. A lush cottagecore tale full of stolen spell books, unexpected friendships, sweet jams, and even sweeter love. Sold. I love a cozy fantasy, and this just sounds adorable. A good place with kind people who cared about each other. There was a unicorn in the woods. Well, see, I didn't even know that. Mermaids in the coves and the best raspberry she'd ever tasted, and there was Lauren. So a little bit of a romance, but looks like it's going to be a cozy romantasy. Cozy romantasy. Yeah, that sounds right. The Spell Shop sweeps readers into a world of mer horses, illegal spells, and first loves. It's comforting as homemade jam on a fresh baked muffin. Like, there's also a kitty cat with wings on the cover. I do sometimes buy books for their covers, and this one looked really pretty and fun. So we'll report back whenever I eventually read it. And then these two I'm pretty sure are a dark romance set. I think there's only 2 books in the series. Let's hope, hey? So The Coven is the first book. It says Death is Not Your End. And then The Cursed, and they have also beautiful sprayed edges. I mean, like, am I a sucker for this? Yes, definitely. See, this is something about ripping each other's clothes off, so there's definitely spice. These are probably spicy. Spicy dark romance. Death is not your end, and death is his undoing. So that's what I can tell you. What, is there anything else? Oh, these are so pretty. Revenge and betrayal. Yeah, raised to be my father's weapon against the coven that took away his sister and his birthright. I would do anything to protect my younger brother from suffering the same fate. My duty forces me to the secret town of Crystal Hollow and the prestigious Hollows Grove University, where the best and brightest of my kind learn to practice their magic free from human judgment. Let's see. For the first time in 50 years, the coven will open its wards to the 13 promising students destined to change the world. Is this like dark academia too? Woo! Look at me. I almost sound like I know what I'm talking about. And then The Cursed. I don't know. These just looked really fun. So grab those. And then because apparently I am a sucker for anything that social media says I'm supposed to read, I picked up Fourth Wing, which like has like 400,000 400,000 reviews or ratings on Amazon and is running like almost a 5-star like rating. Like it's got to be fun, right? Like I feel like it's got to be fun. And everybody talks about it. And I have to know. At this point, I just have to know. So I picked this up. And they also had book 2. Please tell me this is book 2. I'll be so sad if this is like book 3 or something. But I think it's book 2. Is there like a little list? Oh, goodness. Yes, Iron Flame is book 2, right? Right. Somebody confirm my purchasing. Anyways, I think this is book 1 and 2 in the Fourth Wing series. And they were both on Book Outlet. You can tell. See, they got little black marks on them. Which if you don't know, like I said, Book Outlet, I don't know if like I said, but Book Outlet has discount books. Basically, super cheap. So, like I said, usually cheaper than Kindle. And so for books that I just think I really am going to enjoy, I tend to get hardbounds because, I don't know, if I'm going to read a physical book, I usually want a hardback book. Mostly because when I'm reading in bed, I can clip my book light onto the back much easier while I'm reading. But yeah, anyway, got those. And then the last book was a recommendation from a friend, and I've also heard this everywhere. It is based on a book in the Bible, apparently, in the Old Testament. It's a love story, but apparently it's also quite intense. I don't know. We'll see. I have no idea what I'm going to think of it. I will report back if I enjoy it. But this is called Redeeming Love by Francine Rivers. I think there's also a movie or something. I forget which book of the Bible it's based on. It's an Old Testament book. It's supposed to be a love story. I don't know. I got sucked in. What can I say? So there is apparently some dark themes in here, supposedly. So heed trigger warnings if this is something you're thinking about picking up, because I think there's some pretty intense stuff, particularly towards the beginning, if spoiler-free reviews are correct. So, and I do tend to check spoiler-free reviews before I purchase books, mostly so I know kind of what I'm signing up for. This does sound like it'll be like a touching story. So like when I'm in the mood to like be touched, that sounds so inappropriate. When I'm in the mood to like be emotional, maybe this might be a good one to read. I don't know. That's the vibe I get. I've made my obligatory pile. It's not even remotely representative of everything that I covered in this video, but if you clicked this thumbnail and watched it, then I guess it did its job. But anyway, thank you so much for hanging out. As always, I love making these. I love just hanging out and talking about all the things. I know we meander quite a bit. That's why I try to put the more relevant things near the front end. But if you sat through the entire thing, maybe leave an emoji down below. Let's leave a little rose emoji. I'm assuming there's a rose or a red flower of some kind. Leave something so that people know that you got all the way through me talking about everything from tarot to faith things to coloring books and spicy romance and cozy fantasy. If you made it through the whole thing, leave a little flower. It'll be like our badge of honor that you made it this far. But anyway, thank you so much for hanging out. I appreciate you all so much. As always, an extra big thank you goes out to my Unicorn Fam channel members. Thank you so much for your support of the channel and everything I do here. And as always, in these sort of roundups, if you saw something here, particularly deck-wise, more specifically, that you would like me to do more content about, dive in deeper with, etc. Let me know that in the comments down below and upvote each other's requests so I know where the interest really lies. That helps me plan my content and make sure that I get you out the content that you all are the most interested in seeing. So definitely let me know that. And that's it for now. Until next time, may your magic always shine from the inside out. Bye.